Welcome to A Bit of Board Games, a casual podcast documenting the many failures and hopefully successes of Waffle Games, as we learn the ins and outs of board game design and self-publishing. Join us on this journey as we talk about a bit of life, a bit of design, and a bit of board games. Welcome back to another episode of A Bit of Board Games. Today is January 10th, 2024, and this is episode 89. I'm your host, Steven, game designer and one of the people that started Waffle Games. And with me today is Ralph, our director, game designer. This is the second episode in 2024. And as I was starting it, okay, so like we're almost 90 episodes in. As I started saying like the welcome back piece, since I'm used to hearing like after editing the podcast, I'm like, I usually hear the intro track come in. And so I'm like, in my head, I was subconsciously kind of waiting for the music to be playing.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt weird just doing the intro without music, even though that's how we always do it. So I don't know what, that was just like a weird, do you ever get those like weird, like existential, not, it wasn't an existential thing, but those like weird experiences where you're just kind of like, I don't know, it's like not
like an out of body experience.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't that. It was just like I don't know. Anyway, moving on.
Well, I can hear the intro music anytime I like because it is firmly implanted in my head.
That's true. Yeah. Anyway, how's your January going? Almost halfway through now.
Yeah. So far, so good. Back in the office finally. Even though it's not done, as you can see, it's still. I mean, I'm happy with some parts of it. I think I need a little bit of bounce light coming in this direction, probably at some point. I know a way to do it, but I need just to set it up. And
Can you
then,
just paint it in? Just paint a little bounce light. Some digital
with some
yeah.
glowy, maybe glow in the dark paint. I'm sure they make that. But also I want to get some stuff on the walls and a bookshelf. Really the thing that is holding all this back is I don't want to do anything placement wise until the bookshelf is up, because that's going to determine probably a lot.
Yeah.
So but hopefully at some point I'll get that going on, and then maybe get some I'm thinking Edison bulb treatment in the background to warm it up a little bit, and then posters, stuff like that. But it is good either way to be back in the office. So.
Yeah, not sitting outside your kitchen or whatever, wherever you were before.
In the dining room, basically,
okay.
was where I was at. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it'd be better to have that dedicated space and everything. And look at that new microphone right there. That's a nice microphone, dude. I think it's
Please tell me it sounds good.
It sounds great. It sounds great.
Good, because I've been excited about this mic. I love this one. It comes recommended by. I'm pretty sure I stole Steven's exact audio setup. I got his. Yeah, it's the same thing. I got his same mic, his same light bar, and his audio interface. Because why fix what's not broke? It seems to work pretty well for him. So I just asked him what he got, and
I mean, I've been liking him. The light bar is like a Logitech one. What was it called again? Do you remember the Litra Beam? Logitech like Litra Beam. I use it as a desk.
The Elytra?
I use it as a desk light too, which is cool.
Yeah.
You can adjust the color temp and the brightness and all that. It's nice. It's not like it's fine for like this kind of thing. I wouldn't say it's like a professional, like it's not close to professional lighting, but for like a consumer product, it's pretty solid. So
you could, if you got creative. I mean, it's like, again, I think that the light is good. It works really well. I just think the only thing that's missing in terms of my setup is probably some kind of other light coming from this direction, so that this isn't so dark. And then the rest of the background being a little more interesting, having a little bit more going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great light. I'm happy with it. Today's day one of me having this stuff actually up, so I'm still playing around with some of the settings,
It's beautiful. Just so
but yeah,
beautiful.
trying
Well,
to
cool.
find.
So I've been working on some stuff. Um, I was hoping to be able to play test on Tabletop Simulator this week, but have not been able to finish up stuff. But I do have all the last week I updated all the cards, so I've brought that into InDesign, and I have all the new cards there in InDesign, which it took me a while to remember how to do the data merge thing again, which is like linking a spreadsheet with all the cells of information for all the different cards. It took me so long to figure out how to do that again and break them up into the individual cards. It was literally like one button I had to press, but I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Apparently, I just forgot everything. So
Yeah.
I had to look up a video again, but I got that. So I have all the cards in a rough state with all the updated information. But then last time we went in and and maybe there's a way to set this up better starting out. But I went in and had to do all my line breaks individually and adjust if things are right aligned, left aligned, if certain text was bold. I had to bring in my icon. So I made a custom icon font last time where I uploaded my icons to a website called IcoMoon, and then you can download a font file and set parameters as to when you type, bracket S bracket, that brings up the scrap icon. So then in the spreadsheet, all the cards, when it's going to be scrap, I have bracket S bracket. And so then it comes into the card like that. So then I can go and do a find and replace, and I can say find all bracket S bracket. And then I just, when I have it replace it, I have it only change the font. And so it just changes the font family and not doesn't change the word. So it just changes it from whatever font we're using to this Foundry font that I created, and then it auto changes all those. So I just have to do that for scrap, shade cores, damage, HP, all the things that'll be inline text to get the inline icon stuff there, which is still a really cool thing, and it took me a while to figure that out. So it's still, I don't know, I'm still impressed by it every time. I'm like,
it is cool. Sweet. I don't know if I had told you, but I did stuff like that at my previous job. I don't do it anymore. So I would not probably, it would be like what you did. I would have to refresh my memory, but it is cool to see it in action. We used to use it in templated ads. And you would just update the offer. And even we had specific images of the products loaded into to be able to be automated, and so you could just update your spreadsheet theoretically, and maybe occasionally we would update also the background artwork. Sometimes it could carry over, but you could basically automate the whole thing as long as you did it, you set up well enough. And yeah, it's very cool.
I just realized too, so in InDesign you have it linked to a certain spreadsheet. I could probably link it to... No, okay, I was thinking I could link it to a Google Drive, a live doc. But, okay, so what I could do is when I export it out, I've been versioning it, so I'd be oh, this is version 2, so then I have to re-upload a new file. And so I'm wondering if I could just re-export it as the same name and archive the old one. So that way it would automatically relink that same the updated file. I know there's a way to keep it live somehow. Thing is, it's not a spreadsheet. It has to be a CSV file to do the data merge stuff. So you have to export it. You can't keep it as a live spreadsheet in that way. So it's still
you just have your working spreadsheet.
Yeah. So I could export it every time and then just keep it the same name. I wonder if it would just auto link to that and then just have the new information every time that I bring it up.
Yeah, maybe.
We need to sit down at some point and have a design session to set up the InDesign file. Well, I guess
Yeah,
We need
probably. Yeah.
we need the updated cards, which you updated the color stuff on them, right?
Yeah, they're now back to just being RGB.
Mhm.
Oh, you also sent me something about that. I read through the comments and what was being talked about. It's really hard without more details, though, like what the guy was
Oh,
doing.
yeah, it was just a screenshot. Yeah.
Like, who knows what he did, where he's running into trouble.
Right.
It's possible he was exporting as a JPEG, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows? But
I
that was interesting seeing other people were running into similar stuff.
Yeah, I think it was on the Board Game Design Lab community on Facebook,
Yeah.
or someone posted about that. I'm like, oh, that's what we were just talking about. So
Yeah.
luckily, we're not in like a time crunch where he's like, I need to get this to the printer tonight. So
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah,
So,
that's rough.
Right. But yeah, we definitely need to sit down. I think I was going to bring this up. We need to sit down. Design session would be good. Looking at the InDesign file, I think that's a great idea. I think that would really help. And then 2, we need to have a general like reset meeting, like get together business. I don't want to call it a business meeting, but it would just be like I feel scattered genuinely because we took like a week off. We had the holidays. It's always crazy around that time. And I was about to get to work on like some of the icon stuff. And I was like, we had edits. I don't even remember what they are. And I know I was missing a couple icons and I just don't remember. So we just need to sit down, maybe have some level set again.
We have a breakfast,
ground ourselves.
A breakfast meeting, a waffle meeting. Because waffles.
What would it be?
We need to have brunch. We need to meet for brunch. That's what our business meetings are called now.
Brunch.
We're just gonna meet up for brunch, Ralph.
The more thematic one would be just straight up breakfast, though.
Yeah, let's just have a waffle party.
Waffle party.
Yeah, that sounds more fun. I'll just come over to your house real quick. It's only like a 23-hour drive. So
no problem.
Yeah,
I'll be here.
Yeah, let's get that. Let's figure out a time for that like soon.
Yeah, it would be good because it's just like the beginning of the year. Everything's crazy. You're getting back. Like nuts, for me, man. I know. You were talking about that last week.
Yeah,
crazy. You were tired, and same story over here. I'm getting a lot of people I know in my family are getting over like some sicknesses, nothing serious, but it's just like, gosh, everything this time of year, just that kind of thing tends to happen. A lot of family stuff, a lot of craziness. So it would be good to, ground ourselves again, make sure we're on the right track.
Yeah. Come up with a strategy, waffle strategy meeting. That's what it is. We need some strategy waffles in our life.
Jason commented
again. Jason, it's live. This is a live comment from a new member of the Discord, Jason.
Yeah.
Let's see if
just saying hi back, basically.
Oh, nice. Yeah, he messaged me earlier too, and apparently started a very similar podcast to what we're doing here. I didn't get the name of the podcast, so I don't.
Oh, really? So he started I thought he just started a board game.
No, probably both, because he said the podcast is like the same, almost exactly the same premise that we're doing with our podcast, which we're a board game company documenting what we're doing, making board games. So, and other random stuff, but
banned for copyright infringement.
Yeah. No one's ever done a podcast like this before.
We're really original.
Yeah. So he messaged about that, so I thought that was cool. I have some messages from him, but I can't open it right now. Otherwise, it'll just be on the screen for the video. So I'll look at those later. But next week, I'll recommend his podcast if I get the name of it and stuff.
Shout out. Yeah.
Just keep expanding the game dev, design, board game podcast genre. So
yeah.
Anyway, he said he was only on episode 5 though, so he said no spoilers. I was like, oh gosh, dude, like.
Oh, he's got a ways to go.
I don't remember. Ralph's not even on the podcast then. You haven't even made your first appearance.
I know.
It was episode 18. Yeah, 18, because it was every 18. Was your first one.
Yep. Yep.
Then your life changed from there. You didn't know it, but
It did in a way. Yeah.
yeah.
It'll be a while though. I watched religiously for a while, just to get just because it was something easy to listen to while I would do like yard work or
Right.
something.
Right.
And it still took me like forever to
Yeah.
get all the way through everything.
Well, some
So
of
there's a
the
lot there.
yeah, some of the episodes were getting close to an hour, but it's on average like 40-ish minutes. Which
Yeah.
I saw a thing today on someone like LinkedIn or something. It was a poll that someone had done about people's preferred length of podcast. And so it had an option of like less than 30 minutes, 30 to 60, or over 60. And a clear winner was 30 to 60. So we are right in the sweet spot there. Every once in a while being like 35, sometimes like 50, but
Yeah.
right in the sweet spot
Yeah.
at that 40-ish minute mark, I think is it's pretty solid. So we're doing it
That's
right,
interesting. Yeah, yeah. I would guess. I mean, long form content I know does well on YouTube, um, which is weird because if long form content does well on YouTube, that also has a visual component, which is more effort and more attention. So
Yeah.
you would almost think that people would, when you're just listening to something, you would want it even longer. But yeah, I guess not. Man.
I know personally with YouTube stuff, like I've watched let's play things of people doing stuff and like had it kind of on like another screen in the
Oh, I always do
background.
that. Oh yeah.
And so it's kind of like I can still like see what they're talking about sometimes, but mostly it's listening for a lot of that. So I think just like having the visuals there if I want them is nice. But
It
like
is.
yeah, I do feel like just like long form content, makes way more sense in audio because like, you can multitask in a sense. You're not like
Yeah, that's what
having
I
to fully pay
know.
attention.
Like
But
people are gonna listen to a podcast when they're working out, when they're
yeah,
going for a run, or
yard work,
commuting to work maybe, or while they
dishes.
work. Yeah, yeah, anything, really
Yeah,
anything. So yeah, that is, I guess that is interesting.
I'm listening
Uh,
to an audiobook right now. That's like a 29-hour audiobook. Which I think a lot of them are like that. But
29 hours.
it's did I ever tell you about the series He Who Fights with Monsters? It's
What's the premise?
well, the genre is a literary RPG. So
Okay.
it's this one specifically. I've talked about it on the podcast before, but it's been a while. It was probably with Trevor before.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe.
but yeah, He Who Fights with Monsters. This is book 10. um, and they are incredible. I think it's definitely in my top 5 series like of books. And it's just such an interesting world. The characters are great. I don't know, it's so cool. But it's a fantasy thing. So a literary RPG or like lit RPG is essentially it's a book, but like the world in this case, the world has RPG elements. So people have levels and have like
Oh,
specific skills and abilities and can do quests and do things and level up. So it's like playing a video game of an RPG, but like following a character who's experiencing that stuff. And
is it
so
actually in universe they're leveling up, or does the book just say like this character leveled up?
this one is in universe. I've seen
Okay.
some do both, but this one is like in universe. They're like, "Oh, I'm iron rank. I need, to get up to silver rank." Which like means I have to do a bunch of stuff, but it's like everything that's happening is like super interesting. It's not just like they're gonna go grind and do some fetch quests to level up. So it's not like an RPG experience in that way.
I'm
Um,
gonna walk into their telemarketing job in a
yeah.
cubicle
Oh my
for
god.
9 hours.
Most of the time, it's more of like a fantasy environment, so it feels like an RPG world. So, but sometimes you'll get like special weapons or abilities, and depending on how detailed some of the RPGs are, like they'll be like, "Oh, it's this weapon," and like it has like that thing where it's like the mace of devastating blows.
Is it taking place in like an alternate universe, actual Earth, our world, or is it a like, is it modern day? Is if they're getting
So,
maces, then I am assuming it's like
well, that was just like a That was the only thing I could think of at the time. Um, there's there's a lot of books in this genre now. I think it's a newer genre of book. The one I'm reading now is like the book starts with the main character being pulled into another fantasy world, but he's from Earth, and so he has like there's a lot of like different like pop culture references or and references that are pretty funny. Like the main character is hilarious, but he's like gets these really dark powers, um, and like gruesome type stuff. But like he's also just sarcastic and just generally lighthearted about his powers. So it's like I don't know. This book is really good. There's another one I've read where it's been just like full fantasy series. There's one where it's like modern times, but it like they're in like a did you ever read like Ready Player One? Where they like go into that VR game or whatever.
No, I never read it, but I know they made a terrible movie out of it.
Yeah. And then they made a terrible sequel book, Ready Player Two.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, I don't
Yeah.
think I was like anyway, moving on. Um there's another book that's like there's an immersive reality game and that's like in a fantasy world, but it's like real life people that go into it. And so like there's some stuff happening modern times or like I guess slightly futuristic. And then
Right.
other
Yeah.
there's whole chapters and stories like happening in this game world. Sometimes they play on that, like they make it gamey. Sometimes it's like, is this actually a game or is this kind of real? Like there's always stuff like that too with those kind of things. But the one I'm listening to now, it's like this is realistic, and then he eventually there's something that happens where you learn more about Earth, and you find out there was actually people that had magic and different levels like that on Earth as well. So it's not just like everyone's leveling up and doing stuff. Like it's kind of not everyone knew about it on Earth or something. So
Okay. Nice. Well, yeah, that's a cool idea.
yeah,
I like the sound of that.
it's really fun. Seriously like this is book 10, and I'm like every single book has been amazing. Specifically, the audiobooks. The narrator for these audiobooks is so good. And like I think the author is from New Zealand, but the narrator has a New Zealand accent. He's from New Zealand, and all his character voices are just phenomenal. And like his natural reading voice just is way more engaging, probably because he has a New Zealand accent. Um, but it's just such a joy, such a joy to listen to. So
Yeah.
yeah, well that's I've been doing that while working on other projects and stuff too. Um, so let's touch base a little bit. We'll have a little bit of our waffle meeting right now, just because we've talked a little bit about what we're working on with people, but part of this podcast is it's documenting our design process. So like I said, I'm getting the cards in InDesign. We're obviously not gonna like pull that up and work on that right now, but I'm planning on getting those updated by the end of the week this weekend, and then for sure, totally getting a playtest in next week on Tabletop Simulator. Whether with you, maybe Trevor, or like my brothers have Tabletop Simulator now, or another group of friends that are available. Whoever I can get, I'm just gonna try to get at least 2 other people to play.
So yeah. Okay. So you 4 players.
Well, if you can make it, then 4. Oh yeah, like I want to get a 3-player game at minimum. So whether that's like you, me, and one other person, or if you can't make
the time
it,
we played, the time I play tested, it was only 3. Now,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm remembering that.
yeah. So if we can get a 3-player game, like I'll for sure get these cards done over this weekend. I have Monday off for President's Day from work, so I can even try to crank some stuff out then.
Oh yeah, I do too.
Maybe that's a good day to connect on some stuff. So
Maybe.
yeah, so I'm working on that Tabletop Simulator. We'll get it up, start playtesting again, figure out where the game is. So on that, the design side of things for that, like our game development side of things, that's where that's at. That's where we're progressing. So the other main side is the art and the visuals. So we had several items completely done, and I sketched a few other ones and sent you sketches for reference to finalize items. So in terms of the item art, I think it's just as I don't think that's a priority right now, but like if you ever get inspired or as they come up, that's something that you could always do if you wanted to, is just work on some items here and there. Because there's still like, I don't know, at least 50 more to do or something. And I had the general concept for the companion, but my sketch that I did is very flat. So I want to turn him at an angle and redraw it kind of at some different angles to give you a better idea of what I'm thinking for like their whole body and like the shapes there.
Okay.
So that's for companions, and then art or the other weapons and items. I'll just keep sketching as I think about it and send you stuff. So that'll just kind of be like an ongoing thing. But a more immediate thing that I think would be really helpful, we talked about doing the icons. So I think finishing out the icon set should be the first priority we do.
I agree.
And we have a list. I put some on. I put on Airtable at one point, but I haven't even opened that in a long time.
We have a direction too. The problem is we haven't actually tested the direction in the card.
Yeah.
Another thing I was thinking is if we're gonna go with the icons are gonna feel tangible in some instances, such as the scrap coin things, scrap.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of how to do that because the scrap is going to be an icon. It needs to be able to work as both. It needs to be able to work as an icon that is flat, and it should work as a thing that is tangible. So the only way I know how to do that, or the only way I can think of that makes sense, is the scrap coins, whatever you want to call them.
Just scrap tokens.
The scrap tokens will be black, and then the icon part will look the same as the flat one, but it'll just have rendering.
Yeah. I think like the icon piece,
but the shape matters. So like if you have a circular, so I'm thinking, when did
we can get custom shape punch out tokens. So like it can be the shape of the scrap.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Then that works. But I was looking at it, and if we needed to, we could work it into the current version. I mean, it's subject to change, but
sure,
the current version could be worked into a diamond or a square, whatever you want to call it.
A rhombus.
It almost has the shape of like a diamond or a square.
Yeah, I think that could.
So you could do that if worse comes to worse. If it ends up being ridiculously expensive or something to do the custom ones,
I don't think it is. I don't think it's any more cost because it's still it's them putting some kind of thing in it, like cuts out, the punch board and everything. We can look into it more. That's another thing. I want to get a quote on materials, so we can talk about that next. But, with that, like the scrap icon can be that flat like silhouette of the scrap item, and then we just do a rendered version for the tokens or something. I think that's
which
totally
would be
fine.
Black. Yeah, because that's our rendering style anyways, is black outline rendered thing. So actually that would work pretty good. So
we just have to make sure we don't get like too I don't know, like too detailed on the token. I just don't want there to be too much of like a disparity between the icon and the if it has a very distinct shape, I think it's going to be fine. And it people are going to associate it once they learn. They're like, "Oh, this icon means scrap. These tokens are scrap. Done. Okay, we're good." So I don't think there's much of a learning curve there. So I think we're fine. So one thing I was thinking about too, when looking at the cards, right now we have the green, purple, and orange for basic, advanced, and mastercraft blueprints. And we have all of the text and the icons are white on top of those colored areas, the icons specifically. The main text and other stuff are in darker spaces and it works fine. But I don't know if the white icons work great on the colors in the cards we have.
We need to, if we use the white, we need to outline them.
Yeah. Or is there a way? Do we engrave the icons into like those like gemstones that are holding them on the card? Like, does that? Do you think that could work?
I don't think it would stand out anymore.
Okay. Or like in embed, make it look like there's some kind of metallic thing embedded into it or something, and have it rendered. I feel like we can totally just do the icons. I think that's fine. I think we just do the icons. I think we're getting too in the weeds with this stuff before.
I looked at a bunch of reference cards, and my plan from the start, yes, white doesn't work on its own, but we were just testing stuff, and what needs to happen is we use white or whatever else. I think white would probably look the best.
Okay.
With an outline, with like a black stroke, You
don't think that would look weird? Like just like a white icon with a black stroke just like floating on that?
I saw it in other cards.
Okay.
I don't know if I mean there's always other ways.
Sure. Yeah.
We could do a dark green stroke, or for the
we'll play with
the green one.
Yeah, we can play
dark
with stuff.
Purple, dark. But I do think that when it comes to these things that are just informational,
the clearer
sometimes
the better.
Simplest. Yeah, and if we engrave it, like, it would be cool, but it would probably not stand out as much. Even
lose some of its legibility.
But I'm not closed off to any particular approach necessarily.
Okay.
I just remember that's where I thought would probably work. We should try it and then test print and see what it looks like. If it doesn't really work and it clashes or something, then we can revisit and talk about ideas. But I'm hoping that it is clear and looks good, because the cards are busy, right?
Yeah.
So the clearest we can be with some of the actually important information, probably the better. But we can always try multiple things and then print and see how it works.
I trust your judgment. Sounds good to me. Cool. So I think your task, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is probably get the icons out. And I'll dig up that list and make sure we've got the full list of them.
If you could just remind me of the list and like what each icon is. Just what, like,
I'll write like
supposed to represent
the term that it is, and then a brief description as to like what that does. So like damage, that is the damage you inflict on another player. Like, you're attacking them, that is what the damage you're doing. Targets are the number of people you are hitting.
I know what most of these are. I just
You've also only played the game once, though, so
we played it once. And I forgot some of the icons that are even in some of the cards. So but with that list, I think I'll be able to go in there and do it. And I also, looking at the cards, or looking at the icons that I did,
which are awesome, people. That's icon style is amazing. The greatest icons ever created by anyone. Ever.
I was wondering if I need to simplify some of them.
Maybe a little bit. I think some, like, it might not be recognizable right away.
I know. Yeah.
And so like as much as I don't want to do just like here's a shield for defense, the way we can make it the most recognizable off the start and familiar to people would be good. So if we could do like a
Yeah.
shield, but
Just
like
needs to be simple.
a shield or a sword, but just in our style, I think is totally fine. I don't think we need to reinvent the
Yeah,
wheel
the
in
sword I'm
general.
cool with.
Yeah,
The
sword is
sword
great.
looks okay. The idea around the shade core I like,
Mm-hmm.
but that one is one that I think the detail is a little bit too much. It's not. I think the idea is there, but I just think I need to take out some of these smaller things.
Hmm.
Um, the shield could arguably do without the little flourishes on the side.
I don't remember what these look like. I don't know if I've
I know.
seen the most updated
I
ones
only
either.
remember because I'm looking at them right now.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, yeah. In general, I think the some of the basic foundations are good, but I just need to make sure these are well balanced and simple enough. And I think I just went slightly
I'm
too.
looking at it now. I'm just gonna show people. Here. There's a sneak peek. Hold on. It's too bright. Is that still like the most recent? No, it's too
Yeah.
there's your face again.
Oh.
uh, there we go. That's a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
For those of you on video, I just held it up there for a really long time. Of some of the direction of the art, the icons, which is awesome. But yeah, I think some of them, this like the style is there. But I think you're right. Some of them just need a little bit of work to either simplify or just like adjust the shape a little bit to make it
Yeah.
clear and recognizable. And then again, some
Yeah.
of these you were doing because based off the card, but you didn't really know what the icons did at the time.
I know.
So
Yeah.
you're like, let's do this thing. It looks like a boulder, I guess. But
This one is fire, even though
yeah,
there's no fire icon.
it's kind of like a fireball for damage, is what I did.
Kind of. Yeah.
Looked like a
Yeah.
little meteor coming in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, okay. So after this, I will get you a list for all the icons that we need. I also think I want to include a trap icon. So I think trap cards are always going to be defense still, but I think in the text box, in like a corner, I want to throw like a trap icon or somewhere on the card to be like, this card is played differently than the rest. This is a trap. Because otherwise people might not get that.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll have to figure out how we want
Sounds good.
where we
Sure.
can place that, because again, like you said, the cards are getting busy with so many stats on them and everything.
Yeah.
um I was wondering.
I think it'll still work.
Okay, do you think, okay, here's a thought. I was trying to simplify all the cards a lot by doing these icons. In doing so, I might have made them more busy, but it makes them translate better across the board. Instead of having all of those little pop-up sections, would it be better to just have all the information in the text box and just say like 1 target, 3 damage? Because we already do that for some text that does like for dice rolls. It's like, hey, roll a die. If you get a 1, it does 1 target for 2 damage. If you get a 4 to 6, it's whatever. Because we have some that already kind of have that represented in the text box, shows you like how many targets and how much damage you do. Would that clean up the card some if we kept everything in the text box and didn't have as many variables and numbers sticking out of the top? Because right now we got like charges, targets, either damage or armor, depending on what class it is, and a slot for HP if it's a companion. But like like if it's a shield, we could just in the text box be like, blocks 3 damage, or like gives you 3 armor. And like if it doesn't have anything complex, like that could be enough in the text box to tell you what it does. And it keeps the information that you're looking at everything. Does that make more sense, I guess? That's what I was trying to think about. Should we do an A/B
Um,
comparison and be like put a complicated card, put all the info in the text box, and then you put it in, keep it the same format we have now, just like compare them.
so it wouldn't change the size of the text box. It would just eliminate the little boxes at the top.
Yeah, and I'm not even talking about like artistically for the card, the design. I'm talking more about just like getting the information and understanding the card.
Well, I mean, that's just a question of how much do we care? Like, because if you're asking me, yeah, do it. I don't care. I can read, but some people might think like, oh, I have to read now.
Yeah.
You know,
But
so
I
I
was
mean,
looking at a lot of other games and like even some games that I'd played recently where it's like okay, so there's two sides. There's like Magic the Gathering. You have to read a paragraph to understand what the card does, and people just accept that. That game's been around a long time, so
well,
people are into that. For a new game, I think you have a harder sell for that. Um, but then there's also a lot of games that have been coming out that have like almost zero text, and like with the goal of like people from other languages and other regions can play this game without having it to be without needing the game to be translated into their language, because like technically they can just look at the card. Here's like a symbol, here's an icon, and it has like some kind of arrow, or the visuals indicate what you do with it. So like those I don't think we can go that simple. I think ours has a little bit too much detail that like we can't just be like, here's some icons to indicate everything for the card. So
right.
I don't want to go overly into the icons, because that's what I did at the beginning. I was starting to do that. I'm like, can we get rid of anytime we say the word like blueprint, can we have a card icon in there? And then can we just be like, do a plus card icon to be like, you draw a card, or like a plus scrap icon? Like some of that we do, but
Well, the idea of eliminating those boxes is very appealing to me personally,
okay,
um, because it gives us more room for the item as well.
that's true. The one,
And I can rebalance that little. There's a like the beam that goes on the above the screen where text would go.
yeah,
Um, it would give me the opportunity to kind of make that feel a little bit less awkward.
okay.
So so I like it from that point of view.
I think
Plus, like I said, I think that I don't mind a little bit of even if we use numbers and even if we write a little bit like this does +3 this,
yeah,
icon. That's still pretty clear. That's not that complex. I mean,
yeah. I found myself going through when I was tweaking the cards and updating stuff, cards that people had confusion on. I was trying to just make it too concise. And so when I went through this time, I'm like, I'm just going to write a sentence to like, this is what this card does. You do this.
mm,
And like, I added more words. I was trying to like keep it really like, I don't know, as consolidated as possible, just for like brevity's sake. But going back through it, I'm like, you know what? Clarity is more important than that. And that brings me to another point. Even when you and I played with Jesse that one time, we there were cards that like you use the card, and it does, you do one, like it has an icon for like hit a target for 1 damage, and then there's also text that has an ability to it. So it'd be like sometimes people would just read the ability, or they would just do the attack and be like, oh, there's there's another thing I can do with this. So I think if we had all of the actionable pieces in the text box, like, hey, you hit one target for 1 damage and it removes a charge from their item or something. Like if we had that all in the text box, you can just be like, you go to one location visually to look at this and do that. Whereas right now it's like, okay, look at all the top stuff to see what it does, and then also see what the ability is.
mm.
And then on the flip side, we have some really basic items like the scrap sword, where there's no text. It's like I just have it in there as like basic attack, and that just does like 1 target, 2 damage or something. So like it would make the text box is kind of pointless for some of those cards right now, which just feels like a waste of space. So if we could clear up some space where like those icons were and include all of the actionable stuff and the abilities in the text box, that's just one location you go to be like, this is how I use this card. The two things we'd have to think about relocating would be HP for companions, which honestly we could still leave in the same general area, and like it only shows up on companion cards, or something, and a number of charges. It's like how many uses the card has. Those wouldn't fit as well in the text box because it's not like the action you're using. They're just like other elements like stats of the card. So we'd have to play around with placement of those two things. But I think that can be done. Maybe there's like a pop out in the bottom right corner that just like cuts into the screen, and that could be like charges or something, or bottom left. I don't know. Do we have space? Don't we have space in the bottom left? Isn't there like some symbols and stuff there already?
Bottom left of the screen?
Of the card, and the whole card.
I don't think.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah. We got like those runic symbols and stuff. Like, you know, like the little. I'm really good at describing stuff. Like this little section in that bottom corner.
Okay.
What if, I mean, maybe that gets too lost in the information. I don't know.
Well, there's another issue. If we eliminate those and resize the items,
we just make the items a little bit bigger. Like,
yeah, but that's, I mean,
you've been drawing them like pixel perfect.
Yeah, we would probably want to make sure they're right.
Well, we'll talk about this offline. I think we don't need to keep going through on the podcast with this stuff, but because we should wrap up. So, all right. Well, yeah, guys, thanks for joining us on this design session. This was fun. I think it was good. But we'll meet again to kind of go over some more stuff. So, anyway, thanks again for being here, guys. If you want to keep up to date on what we're doing, keep listening to this podcast and go join our Discord, which you can find a link to at our website, bitwafflegames.com. Sorry, that was really fast. bitwafflegames.com. Should I do like those old commercials, like bitwaffles.com? Again, that's bitw. No, okay, just kidding. Anyway, yeah, you can find links to our socials and stuff there as well. So thanks again for being here, and we'll see you all next time.
Yep. All right. See ya.
Bye.